Good evening, everybody. Thanks very much, as always, for joining us. And so what do you think of the new edition? I know many have been here, but yeah. Thank you. I had virtually nothing to do with it, but we're certainly very proud of it. It's a great new space. We thought we'd take an opportunity just to kind of showcase it, and as I said in the invites, give it a bit of a trial run. I'll be curious to hear feedback after this version of Tech Tuesday. I know there's always a soft spot in our heart for the Marshes Clubhouse, and this is not to say we're here all the time. You just have to read the invites going forward. But so far, I think it's working out pretty good. So thanks again. We have a full house. This is terrific. We have a primary speaker here who you would have recognized in the invite is going to be completely different. So we'll keep you in suspense on that one. Again, thank you. I'm going to start with a public service announcement. Gentleman Rodney McInnes is here to my right, and he's going to spend just the first couple of minutes talking to us about Ottawa and Canada-wide science fairs. Rodney, over to you.
Thank you, Steve, for the opportunity to do a public service announcement tonight. So each year in Canada, some 400,000 youth do science fair projects. About 25,000 compete in 103 regional science fairs, Ottawa is one of them, and 500 of the top ones go to the Canada-wide science fair. When I was in high school, I did 2 science fairs, making it to the Canada-wide in '77. There, 10 of us received a Bell Northern Research Award of an all-expense-paid trip to Ottawa that included touring BNR labs and dining with the president of BNR. However, I didn't do anything amazing to get it. BNR picked a student from each province, and I was from New Brunswick, and New Brunswick back then only sent 2 people, so I had a 50% chance of getting it. Years later, I finished a master's degree at U of T in chip design, and while most of my peers were headed to California, Silicon Valley, I came to Ottawa eager to work for BNR because their brand was so favorably etched in my mind. Rolling ahead to 2008, the Canada-wide comes back to Ottawa for the second time ever, and both of my kids were in elementary school. And for something interesting to do, one afternoon we went to explore the fair. A few years later, they both participated in science fairs, and I can tell you that the experience dramatically transformed their lives. Having witnessed time and time again the power of fairs to positively impact youth, I now volunteer as a corporate fundraiser for both the Ottawa Regional Fair as well as the Canada-wide Fair. These are all the 2018 sponsors and donors of the Ottawa Fair that are $1,000 or more. This year, Ross Video is a sponsor of both fairs, as David Ross understands their importance, being a 3-time alumni of the Canada-wide himself. The Graham Family Foundation, associated with the car dealerships, is our largest donor. And while our fine educational institutions carry the bulk of the costs to run the fair, unfortunately, industry is noticeably sparse and government isn't found at all. A few of the fairs in Canada do exceptionally well in fundraising. 2 of them are cited here. Now, we all realize that Ottawa grew tremendously from the tech industry. My point is, if tech really desires to hire from a larger crop of skilled workers and have better leaders in the future, science fair support is a solid investment. Both Arash Marcy, and this is Arash here, another Ottawa Science Fair volunteer, and myself will be trying to build a strong base of industry support for the Ottawa Fair going forward. As you might guess, many alumni share a common enthusiasm to strengthen science fairs. So we've launched a hub of collaboration, fair-independent collaboration called sciencefairfunding.com. So I invite you to browse the website where you can get informed information about the fairs from a number of videos that we have there. You can explore suggested ways to get active. You can follow and subscribe on Twitter and YouTube, connect with me on LinkedIn, or just contact us. And most important thing this year, I invite you to come and see firsthand both the Ottawa Fair and the Canada-wide, which is returning to Ottawa. Be sure to do your best to also bring youth, any youth that might become interested and inspired in future years for participation. In addition, for industry leaders here today, you can contact me later regarding the Canada-wide VIP event.
Thank you, Rodney. Good luck with the fair. I know it's this week, so the notice is very timely.
Thank you.
And hopefully you have continued good success and obviously better success or more success with the fundraising. So With that, I want to move to the main event, if you will. And unfortunately, the speaker who I put in the invite, Doug Weatherspoon, cannot be here tonight. He had some family issues that were taking him away. Instead, we have his boss, actually. So we moved up the ladder. I'm very pleased to introduce for you as our guest speaker tonight, Cheryl Jensen, who's the president of Algonquin College. And they've been undergoing a pretty significant, bold is the word I got from Doug, bold step in the evolution of that school, that facility, and that's the creation of a what's being called an innovation center, which sounds really exciting to me. And I won't steal any of Cheryl's thunder other than to say it's opening up pretty soon. So with that, I'd like to bring Cheryl Jensen up.
Well, good evening, everyone. Yes, Doug was all set to do this because I was supposed to be in Toronto all day, and then, of course, he had a personal emergency he had to attend to, and my meeting ended early, so here I am. You're stuck with me. But I'm really pleased to be here today from Algonquin College, what we like to call the Digital College of Ontario. You might be able to see why as I start to talk today. I've attended many Tech Tuesday sessions myself in the past, of course, and tonight I'm really happy to be able to address you. So thank you very much. Thank you, Steve, for the invitation. The timing couldn't be better for us, absolutely. In 1 month, May 3rd to be precise, so exactly 1 month, and I will put in as well, it's my granddaughter's first birthday today, so it's a great day all around. We will officially open our new DARE district. Yes, that's right. We're calling it the DARE District, D-A-R-E. You may not have heard that name before, but you will in the not-too-distant future, if only because many of the grads who will be working for you in the near future will have acquired and honed their knowledge in this incredible facility that has been 2 years in the making, and just 2 years in the making. This facility will house a beautiful library wired for the latest in high-tech learning. Everything from digital literacy labs and student learning centers to help students with their math and computer skills, to studios for multimedia presentations. We're also creating areas specifically geared towards exploration, a makerspace area that will allow students to get their hands on the latest technology, and the Ignite Center, a business incubation center that will be like no other. So much of the learning is about discovery, and our DARE district has created the space for that to happen. So with that in mind, let me introduce you to the acronym and the principles that we think make it so meaningful. DARE stands for Discovery, Applied Research, and Entrepreneurship. In choosing the DARE district, we're not just saying something about what we hope this new and exciting building will become, but we're making a profound statement about who we are as a college. DARE effectively encapsulates the goal and the purpose of Algonquin College. Discovery naturally implies learning and innovation. And applied research is certainly a suitable description of the purpose of a polytechnic institution, which is what we are. Well, as for entrepreneurship, we're committed to instilling an entrepreneurial mindset throughout the college, in our students, but also in our employees. In a nutshell, the college is dedicated to educating learners in innovative research that has entrepreneurial applications in the real world and around the world. Now, words such as innovation and entrepreneurship have become buzzwords in the world of education, I think in business and also in politics. Everybody, politicians, corporate leaders, school boards, college presidents, toss them out in response to questions about how to best create a prosperous society and help people lead a fulfilling life. But what does it really mean? Do we use concepts like innovation and entrepreneurship too readily without considering what they mean and why they're important to us? As the American technology consultant Michael O'Brien wrote some years ago in Wired magazine, The overuse and generalization of the term innovation has led to a loss of understanding of what it is we need when we say we need more innovation. If so, then we need to be innovative about our use of the word innovation. I was talking to somebody about that just earlier, to borrow O'Brien's phrase. You might be surprised to know that the word innovation was once a curse rather than a compliment. In the 17th century, an English Puritan by the name of Henry Burton was accused of being an innovator, that is, someone who wanted to try something new, and he was sentenced to prison. In fact, he had his ears cut off. Enough of that. I wanted to make sure that our center means something to you. I wanted to make sure that Algonquin was contributing to the innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem in Ottawa, not trying to do what others were already doing, not mowing other people's lawns, as I say. We needed to find our niche at Algonquin. So, almost 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, we started a President's Advisory Panel as the space was under construction in the very early stages. And I asked Terry Matthews to co-chair this panel with me, and he did. And he also helped to bring some thought leaders to the table, people like Peter Charbonneau, Michael Turner, Paul Labarge, just to name a few. And we recruited Blair Patakarek and Valerie Fox. If you've heard of the DMZ, the Digital Media Zone at Ryerson, Valerie was the founder of the DMZ, and she's also an Algonquin grad. What I learned from this group through the many sessions and many iterations of our thoughts as we brought them back to the group, we learned that leadership was really at the heart of entrepreneurship. Leadership was a critical component of a successful startup, and for companies to go to the next step and become a small to medium-sized enterprise, which is so needed in Canada. Our shortage, isn't in startups. There's lots of startups in Canada. It's in startups becoming sustainable businesses. And the panel told me that leadership is also a critical component of Algonquin's journey along this new thing of our role in the city. City building, I call it. And so we needed to be courageous and stand for something at Algonquin. And that's when we knew, and the panel supported, that our role is to create an entrepreneurial mindset in each one of our students, to give them the skills they need to start their own business, or to work for somebody like they own the business, like the livelihood of each and every one of their colleagues depends on them. And that's what we plan on doing at Algonquin. Thanks, Terry, for your thought leadership on this journey. It's been an exciting one. This brings me back to Algonquin College, which, is ending a year of our 50th anniversary celebrations, culminating in a big grand gala on the same day that our DARE district is unveiled. And it's really an emotional time for me. The colleges are 50 years old. I've been involved in the college in one way or another, actually as it started as a part-time faculty member almost 40 years ago. And so I like to say that I've grown up as the college system has grown up. Colleges were born in Canada's centennial year, and the college, our college, your college in Ottawa, now boasts almost 22,000 full-time and 35,000 part-time learners. All of them adventurous spirits, encouraged from the moment they walk through our doors to achieve synergies of innovation and entrepreneurship. Let's just consider some of the daring efforts of our learners and employees. I'll try and get daring in there a couple more times. This past year, our students won gold, silver, and bronze medals at skilled trades and technology competitions. Rodney, I was so really pleased to hear your talk. I was a judge in the Bay Area Science and Engineering Fair back in Hamilton for about 20 years, so I know how important they are. This is a skilled trades and technology competition run through Skills Canada, and they won in all categories. One of our alumni won an Academy Award and a Golden Globe Award for the animation work he did as part of the Disney team that created the movie Zootopia. We partnered with a local tech company to help save the world's honeybee population by developing a device that allows us to view the life of a productive hive as it's happening. We recently started our first ever clinical trial so our students could contribute to efforts to unlock the mysteries of dementia. Our learners have created 3D simulators that can transport you to other virtual dimensions, including a full tour of our new DARE district before the doors have even opened. And if anybody wants to try it, it's really something. You know, more recently, Algonquin College was the only Canadian finalist for the prestigious U.S. National Association for Community College Entrepreneurship Award, which honors entrepreneurial thinkers and doers in order to highlight the role that colleges play in fostering economic vitality in their communities. Our new Data Analytics Center will harness the power of big data for the purpose of mining data, machine learning for predictive analytics, and distributed intelligence. This new center alone will be a crucial player in the growing innovation ecosystem in Ottawa and Eastern Ontario. Organizations seeking support with big data technologies now have a new resource and a partner in the college in our new DARE district. And just this past year, Algonquin expanded its relationship with the Ottawa Hospital, now working together to facilitate the development of mutually beneficial linkages in digital health, clinical trials, and biotherapeutics manufacturing. I don't know of any other college in Canada that's partnering with a hospital to do those things. And not to be forgotten, there is our new DARE district, a state-of-the-art facility that will become the heart of our college. If you know our college at all, there's a very old, quaint courtyard that's at the very center of the building. And that is actually what we're using to build this new heart of the college. It's being completely transformed to an area that's going to be open all year round, bringing the inside to the outside and the outside back into the college through beautiful design. Clearly, Algonquin College is a thriving, driving, innovative place. And I hope the examples that I've offered of that spirit lend the context to those abstract concepts that we talked about earlier of innovation and entrepreneurship. But you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention another area where the college is a serious innovator. The college, located, as many of you know, on the traditional territory of the Algonquin First Nation, has made a commitment to make Indigenous traditions and culture an integral part of its institutional fabric. And we think of this as a matter of moral innovation as well as moral obligation. It's no surprise, it's no accident or coincidence that Algonquin has been named after the Indigenous tribe. Many of the colleges, when the colleges were born 50 years ago, were named after tribes close by. Indigenous culture will be a thread that runs through the DARE district, but also through all of our campuses in Perth and Pembroke as well. It will touch every learner, every employee, and every visitor to Algonquin College. In my opinion, we must accept nothing less. Indigenization is something that we carry in our name, that we aspire to in our everyday work, and that we must honor as part of our unwavering promise to seek truth and reconciliation. Algonquin has the fastest growing population of Indigenous students in the province. And, you know, we are learning so much from the work we're doing in Truth and Reconciliation, and so much from our Indigenous students as we go through this journey together. And I can't think of a worthier example of the continued relevance and importance of the concept of innovation. But indigenization, just like the concept of innovation, reflects something that educators have come to recognize more and more: the need to empower our students as well as our educators It's commonplace to acknowledge that when children begin school, they are more often than not full of curiosity, like my little granddaughter. Bundles of questions, always wanting to know. All too often, though, this innate desire to know, this spiritedness of our young people, fades away during the school years. The New York Times columnist Thomas Friedman says it well. We go to school for 12 or more years during our childhoods and early adulthoods, and then we're done, he writes. But when the pace of change gets this fast, the only way to retain a lifelong working capacity is to engage in lifelong learning. And we at Algonquin College could not agree more. Parents, teachers, the education system, we all need to keep that flame of curiosity, that source of innovation, burning. At Algonquin, we like to use the word learners rather than our students. Our reasoning on this is very straightforward. In using the word learners, we've emphasized the notion that the best kind of education is one that involves all of us, not just our students. And education is not simply a matter of teachers imparting knowledge to students, but of empowering our students to take ownership of their education and to feed that spark that ignites their own passion for learning. Not only are empowered learners less dependent on teachers or professors or instructors to hand over knowledge, they learn to be innovative in seeking knowledge and skills that will give their lives meaning and purpose over the course of a lifetime. Or, as our college's mission statement has said it, as we guide them, they learn to transform hopes and dreams into lifelong success. We like to think that that is a daring mission. Thank you very much, Miigwech.
Trying to sneak away.
No,
Class is not out yet.
Class isn't dismissed.
All right. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you very much. Rodney is also still up here, so I'm going to open it up now to question and answers. Unlike Parliament Hill, which is only ever just questions.
Congratulations. My daughter just finished Algonquin last summer, and she had the time of her life. I'm on the board of directors of Women in Communication and Technology, so I'm interested in how you think that this new center might have an impact on both STEM and STEAM occupations. 'Cause that's going to be critical.
Yeah, that's a great question, and we know from the provincial budget and certainly the federal budget that STEM and STEAM, that the science, technology, engineering, and math, and the arts is so important. You know, schools, colleges, universities, I would say, were built a long time ago, 50 years ago, and in many of our spaces, for example, we have a school of media and design, a great school of media and design, creative people in one area, with all of the learners behind a door that where you never see them. And then we have a beautiful construction building. Many of you here, I'm sure, were involved in the building of our construction building, which is more modern and has open space where everyone can meet together. And you know, in that space, we've got degree students in with apprenticeship students so that they can work together on ideas that they would never think of if they were separate. This space takes that to a whole new level, where with it being in the heart of our campus, employees, plumbers, electricians, media students, health students in nursing and all kinds of other allied health programs will meet together. The library is there. And so we see that intersection of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math coming together in that space because they can't avoid it. They have to travel through that space to get wherever they want to go in the college. So it's that collision of ideas that we think that will, I think, empower and excite those that are in programs that they don't think that STEM has anything to do with what they're doing, how they work together and make this happen. You know, I grew up teaching chemical engineering in college, and you produce great people that have all of those great skills, but until they can be creative and learn with others as they will in industry, in a team, they really don't develop that innovative spirit. So space does matter, and how you design the space matters to make that happen. I think with some of the funds that are going to come to entice women, minority groups to get into these areas, we'll see this type of space accelerate that interest.
Chemical engineering?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
You could find
and
it
metallurgy.
Anybody else have a question for Cheryl or Rodney? Yeah. Hi Cheryl, I'm with the Ottawa Business Journal.
Hi.
With the city investing and having this general interest in a very tech kind of heavy industry, especially out in Canada, how is Algonquin College going to harness that and be kind of feed into that?
Harness the,
Harness, I guess, the tech sector as it exists kind of in Canada especially.
yeah, that's a great question, you know. And Terry asked me, the first time I met Terry, he asked me that question. And we almost immediately after that put on an extra intake of our software engineering programs and our computer programming programs, so that we now run those 3 times, like every term. But I think it's more than that. You know, we've been asked many times, could we have a presence in Canada? Could the college have a presence? And we thought about that very long and very hard. We're forming something that you may or may not have heard of yet. It's got a little bit of a brand. We're calling it the Education City. All 4 post-secondary institutions have come together. University of Ottawa, Carleton, Algonquin, and La Cité. You know, where else in the country do you have research universities, a large college and a French college together that could do things in a different way? The province has given us a little bit of money to work on this, to see what could we develop that would be different. And one of the things that we've talked about with Invest Ottawa is, can we develop almost like little storefronts together, if I could use the term even pop-up storefronts on applied research that would enable things to happen in Canada in the high-tech industry from all of the educational partners, and wherever else we need them through the city. So I think I wouldn't want to say what might happen, but there is an interest, and I think we'll see something happening. I think U of O has already made an announcement that they're going to come into Canada, but I think together we can make the power of our partnership work even more. I hope that sort of answered the question.
Back here, sorry, I was just checking the noise, and sorry, next time we'll make sure there's more chairs. Congratulations, Cheryl. I put 150 chairs there.
That's because they thought Doug was going to be here.
Anybody else have some questions? Okay, I see you guys up front. I'll circle back.
Hello, President Jensen.
Hi.
I am a recent graduate from your digital health program, and you piqued my curiosity with the term clinical trials. How do you forecast incorporating that into your model?
Well, we actually have some happening right now. One of the projects that we have a Center for Innovation in Seniors Care right on the campus. And what it is it's a big apartment that was designed by a lot of our construction students. And we've worked with the city and with different health units. We actually have taken patients with early onset dementia off the wait list for what we call a day programming. And it's a bit of a respite actually too for their caregivers. And so it's funny how you start these things and then more and more interest builds around it. Carleton University came to us and asked if they could put sensors into the floor of the apartment, because apparently you can measure the progression of dementia by a patient's gait, how they walk. And so then we got involved with a researcher at University of Ottawa, I believe, who's looking at a game. They use a lot of games on iPads to measure, clinically measure the progression of dementia through reflexes. So we are now involved in this clinical trial with our students, with college students that are collecting live data with our residents in this facility. The partnership that we have with the Ottawa Hospital Research Institute is actually looking at mobile apps for health and building some clinical trials in those respects too. So they've actually moved into our Applied Research Center to do that with our students. And those are things that happen just because you start talking and you start working together and ideas collide and new things come out of it fairly quickly.
We've got a shy gentleman back here, Cheryl, who wanted me to ask this question. Probably make me look smarter than I am, but it is his question. Are you guys focusing any of the efforts on data center design?
Data center design. I don't know. You mean on what data centers should look like in terms of security? Is that what you're referring to?
Go ahead.
So it might be more like power consumption. It might be like security is going to be part of that.
Yeah.
You have so much high tech going on in Ottawa.
Yeah.
It shouldn't all be in the cloud. In some other place.
Yeah, and that is
opportunity for specialized construction.
that's a very good point, and I know that the data center, one of the big features of this is going to be we've actually got a group of staff in cybersecurity at the college where we've invested for our own cybersecurity. Educational institutes are one of the largest sources of data and therefore our prime targets. And because of that, we are going to be looking at how do we design this. I've got folks that agree, even though we're going to the cloud in some of our own platforms that we're using for ERPs, that we need to have some of this right on site. So we need to have that infrastructure. That's all I know about it, though. But I will make sure your comments go back.
All right, I saw some hands.
Let's put a hand up here.
Anybody else? Yeah, okay.
Well, this is amazing. I really appreciate all of your work on this. One question in terms of looking forward. In terms of the pace of change, how quickly things change in technology, how are you positioning your programs to know what's real in terms of changing aspects of technology? Is there an interface with the community?
Yeah.
And how do you see that happening in the future?
That's a great question. Yeah, we have, we are mandated to have program advisory committees for all of our programs, and that's, they're made up, the majority of the members are business and industry based on that programming area, and that's where we look for advice on where the trends are going. We have faculty that sit on those committees as well, so that they can start to think about how they take those changes back into the classroom. And so that's really, really important for us. We've just revamped all of our program advisory committees to be more responsive to that because of the rapid change. Used to be you could meet 3 times a year. Now that's just not cutting it for a lot of the program areas. I think, though, too, the kinds of panels that Terry had suggested I start up to look at this in terms of the overall direction of the college is very, very critical as well, because you can have it happening, and you should have it happening from the ground up on the advisory committees, but you also have to have, as an institution, an eye to where the future is going and how you can start pivoting your entire the entire way that you teach, if I could use it that way. The old model of, I call it old, it was old at the time, where, students come in September and then they go through for terms and then take the summer off. Only 40% of our students, maybe 45, come directly from high school now, and so we need to make sure that our models are reflecting what's happening for our industry partners, but as well for our students, our learners who want to come in, get the skills they need, and then go, and then come back again and get more skills and go. So it's going to change the whole paradigm, I think, of how we deliver our programs.
I think there's another hand here. Yeah. Peter?
Thank you so much. Great sharing. You mentioned that Algonquin College is located on unceded Algonquin territory. And I'm just wondering, if we want to reconcile with the native folks, the same way as we did by bringing bilingualism into this country to bring the English and the French closer together, would it be a good idea for the students to spend 1 year learning survival methods on a reserve with
Yeah.
a native family or native tribe? I'm just wondering if you think that would be a practical way to get our country reconciliation.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. You know, we've really started to focus on this. I've got a gentleman who is native. His name's Ron McCluster. I call him a wise old man in a young man's body, and he's really helping me on what this means. What does truth and reconciliation mean? And he really believes that we've spent a lot of time focusing on global education and having our students get experiences in different countries, which I think is important. But I would even argue the majority of our students don't even understand, don't know how our own Indigenous people live on the land. So that's a great idea for how we can start to bring that in as an experiential learning for our students. And I think we'll see more of that in the next few years as we move through this journey together. We have to make sure that we do this in what we call a good way, and that we're welcome on these, that we're welcome and that we're not infringing on their ways.
Great presentation, great answers. What's the one thing that we can do for you tonight, for the people in this room?
Come to our center, come and visit us. We want to be busy with visiting. If you're interested in being on program advisory committees and helping us with programming, just let us know. We're always looking for new members, and talk in the community about what we do and what Algonquin is doing. I think this will be a center for you, and so we want you to come in and use it and help us with how we instill this entrepreneurial mindset. We're still thinking about what does that actually mean. You all know what it means. You know what it means for your companies, and so help us with that.
And take your kids or grandkids to one or both of Rodney's science fairs.
Yes.
Had to get that plug. Thank you. All right, anybody else? No? Cheryl, Rodney, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.